Find the little bright things I want, but I know they'll never own me.
Good morning, good afternoon to everyone who is tuning in and now watching or listening to this episode. Now, in today's episode, I'm going to discuss everything that I'm currently doing as the head coach here at Purpose Fitness headquarters in my final weeks into prep for the 2020 Arnold Classics here in Australia, down in Melbourne, over the weekend of the 20th to the 22nd of March. I'll particularly be competing on the 21st of March, which is the bodybuilding event for the days. Now, I'll be in the junior category, and I'll also be in under 100s at this stage. The goal was obviously to hit over 100. As all egotistic people, we always want to be bigger than what we are. But with my coach, and I actually work with a coach, Logan Robson here, he's one of the best prep coaches, and just an all-round great guy. And you know, myself being a coach, I always advise it's better to have a coach. You know, in preps and stuff like that, you can't make ethical decisions about yourself. And you know, you need that person to stay accountable to. You need that person to, you know, when you do struggle, to be able to go, no, stick to the plan. You know, it's not a matter that you're stupid or whatever. It's more of, you know, you're capable of so much because your mind inhibits you. But if you have someone there next to you that knows your worth and can push you, and you know, that doesn't feel your emotion, they're gonna push you to be so much better. And especially with Logan, you know, I was personally connected with him on a personal level because his whole, where he's come from to where he is now, his whole drive, his whole motive, his whole personality aligns with myself as a coach as well. So, you know, we've got a really good relationship, and the best thing about it is, you know, he set the plan and I've got the trust in him, and I haven't veered off the plan once over the last 7 months that I've been, you know, with him. So, you know, for anyone who's out there who's watching this, I always advise to get a coach, find someone who you can trust, someone who aligns with your morals, someone that has, you know, that's going to give you the time that you want, and whether it's online or face to face. But you know, it's highly advisable, and you know, for the people that are prepping themselves, you know, credit to you guys. But you know, it's not so much a bad thing to actually look and say, look, I need help. I want to get to this event or this stage. You know, having someone there that can push you and who is motivated and driven like Logan, you know, and it explains my physique. This physique I have year after year. I just want to come back and improve. And this year, whether I win or not, I have already beat myself tenfold from my 2018 prep. As a person, as a businessman, as a physique athlete, or bodybuilder athlete, not a physique, but you know, in terms of my physique sculpting, you know, the transformations I have seen as a person, as an athlete, have been outstanding, and that's all I care about. And you know, the thing about this prep is, even the atmosphere. My 2018 prep, we went into the show and I didn't know anyone. My first big Arnold Classic show debut, and you know, it was very holistic. Everyone was looking at each other, everyone was checking out each other, everybody knew each other. It was very, it's a very tough environment. It was a very competitive environment, which is what it all is. But this year, it's just taken a turn. You know, I've taken the emphasis off actually winning, and you know, making sure that I execute 100%, that I beat the person I was last year, and that I actually encourage the people that are around me in my circle to make it to stage and, you know, be a better version of themselves. You know, I message all the boys with guarantees. The boys that I'm competing with or who are in other categories, I'm always messaging them saying, hey, you're looking good, keep it up. How you tracking? How's the headspace? You know, we're 11 days out now, the head really starts to play a game on us. And you know, I think if I can, you know, connect and motivate other people to get to that end stage and do the best they can, then in a day, whether they beat me or they don't beat me, or whether they're with me or not, the way I make them feel and the way I can interact with them as a businessman, as an athlete, and you know, make their experience more enjoyable. That's what it's all about. It's about creating an atmosphere, it's about creating connections, it's about creating friends. Because at the end of the day, I'm competing against myself. So whether he weighs an extra 10 kilos than me, he looks better than me and beats me, well done. They deserve it. At the end of the day, I've already won as a businessman, as an athlete, and as a partner as well. I've learned a lot, and that's the biggest thing you do in these preps. But enough about that. So we're going to talk about everything about how I've been doing my prep, sort of how I've structured it. Coming from now, this will be my 4th competition. So just to give you a little rundown about my history in competing. 2017, before the IFBB split into the IFBB Pro League, I competed in the old IFBB, done the country classics where I took out the first place in my very first show as a junior bodybuilder. That was just before I was about 17 years old. Then I went on to do the nationals following that, which was towards the end of the year, and I got 2nd in the national title. And it's probably one of the hardest preps I've done because I had a lot of external issues personally with relationships, with just moving to a new town, finance, stress, all the rest of it. So I had a lot of personal issues which affected my conditioning, my performance. But the fact that I was able to push through and still pull off a 1st and a 2nd, that says a lot. So I really found my drive in those shows, and that sort of produced me to where I am today in career and business wise. So after that, we teamed up with Nathan Williamson, IFBB Pro, and we set our sky high, and we took on the Arnold Classics in 2018. The roll-on effect from back-to-back show took effect, working long hours, excessive stress. I didn't do so well, but yet again, the competition was so much higher. So, I've already placed a 1st and a 2nd. I really just wanted, as an athlete, to go, okay, what can I achieve? What am I capable of? And from there, we took it out of a lineup of about 10 guys. I was one of the youngest people on the stage, and we managed to pull out a 6th place. So I can't be too angry about that. Now we're back again, and we're here. We're not mucking around. This is my 4th show. We're ready to do it. Now, let's get into it. So, my 36-week prep to this Arnold Classics 2020. Now, unlike any other prep, a lot of you guys will look at it doing as short as possible, as quick as possible, get it over and done with, enjoy your life. Not here. Purpose Fitness Australia and myself as a coach, we do everything 100%, and we commit our life to this sport. So 36 weeks, I met up with Logan. We started, my goal was to really build up my legs, because that was something that I got back from my judges' feedback in 2018. We started doing some off-season leg training, really just pushing me once a week. Next thing you know, it came to 36 weeks out, and I was like, all right, Logan, let's start to make this happen. I don't want to come in half-assed. I want to give this everything I got. And why wait to 20 weeks? Let's get the next 16 weeks out. Let's grow. Let's get a drawing board up. Because even as a coach, I hate working with clients at 20 weeks out, because you don't know what they've done previously in terms of their diet. So it's really important that you actually start. I always recommend about 25 weeks out, so your coach has at least 5 weeks to sort of manipulate your system. But we did 36 weeks prep, and we're still in it. So basically, what I'm going to do is run you through exactly how the stages have worked over this prep. And if you guys have any questions after, you guys can put them on the comments, and I can answer them for you. So we're currently 12 days out from the qualifiers here on the Gold Coast, so Queensland. Now, bear with me, I'm still fasted, so my brain might spit a bit. So what we did was 36 weeks, we started back in, that would have been August last year. So I've been in prep since then. Now when we did it from the week 36 complete, our goal was to establish the maintenance. So, what was I burning? What was I eating? Where did I need to get to in order to maintain a stable body weight and a stable body composition? So when I went to Logan, I didn't see myself as too bad. I was sitting at about 13%, so 75 mils total over 9 sites on the body fat calipers. So already pretty lean. We had a lot more to play with in terms of our time, our variables, our food, everything like that. So what we did was we established the maintenance level for probably the first 4 weeks, sitting at around about 4.4, 4.8. Now that was with 6 days of training, hitting our maximum recovery volume. So when you're sitting at a maintenance or a surplus phase, what we do is we work off a volume intensity scale. And MIV is where we've got enough food in the tank in order to push the body to an extreme in terms of volume progression, but still allow for that recovery phase. And as calories drop down, you need to be mindful of this because you need to optimize your recovery as your calories get less, because as your calories drop, your cortisol and your stress being applied to the body, if you do not focus on the recovery, it will turn toxic quite quick, and you'll see a huge effect in your physique, in your performance, in your mood, in your digestion, everything. So we went from maintenance, we've increased our maintenance by about 300%. So for you guys, you're looking at, for myself, we were up to about 6,000 calories. I think the figure was about 598. And that was sitting at about 950 grams of carbohydrates. So 5980 cows roughly, which gave us about 200 protein on average. We were sitting around about 110 grams of fat. At this point, by the time I got to those calories, I was sitting at about 106, 107 kgs at just below the 13 mark. And then we're sitting at about 950 grams of carbs. Now, that was a dream. So yeah, as I was saying, we pushed our calories up to 300 times the maintenance level. 6 days of training, pushing the volume excessive, and about 75 mil over the 9 sites. Now we followed that through and we didn't really kick the prep up properly, where we started to apply the accelerator, I would call it, until about 16 weeks out. So we sort of just shifted with numbers, altered a few little things we had time to play with. But the biggest thing was just to sort of keep this number stable, and if it decreased, fantastic. But the biggest point was between the 16 weeks that we had in between 36 to 20 weeks, we use that more for optimum physique changes if we could. Now, week 16 to 10, we generally worked in about 4 to 6 week block. A lot of our changes happen about every 6 weeks. So because what we're doing is in the last 4 weeks of the lead up to the Queensland show, it'll give us another 2 weeks beyond that until the Arnold Classic. So we sort of worked off a 6 week period. So 16 weeks out, you saw my calories come down from almost 6,000 down to 4,887. So that was pretty much almost back at maintenance now. As far as body fat, we're already down 4%, and we're down to 53 mil. So 12 mils off over 9 sites. From 16 weeks out, we looked at roughly about a 20% decrease in calories. So you're averaging about 300 to 400 calories every 2 weeks dropped. We reduced our training, so we optimized more rest periods now. And the reason why we dropped training whilst we're sort of manipulating our caloric intake is so you have some reserves up the sleeve. Now, our point was to focus on recovery here, and at the same point, in this point in time, I was quite heavily reliant on caffeine during this period here. During this period here, I sort of done a switch, and we sort of go, okay, we need to decrease stress, we need to back off on our training, allow for maximum recovery, manipulate our calories, and then that way, as we excel through towards the end of the prep, we have variables to pull and play with. So right now, our biggest variable is food. But once you run out of food, and you're training 7 days out of 7 days, and you're doing 7 days out of 7 days of cardio for an hour a day, but you're out of food, you've got no variables to train or to pull to manipulate your body. So whereas now we've got 2 extra training days up our sleeve, We've also just added a little bit of cardio just so, because we did drop training. So, you know, an average training session for me when I was eating that many calories was about 1,200 calories I would burn in a good hour and a half to 2 hours of training. So we've added 4 sessions of cardio in just to make sure that we don't go back up in the body fat levels and we keep a decent outputage. Now, over the next 6 weeks down to 10 weeks out, we saw 20% decreases. So we saw 3 decreases in our caloric intake. Training and cardio stayed the same for those 6 weeks. Body fat continued to drop. Now, as I was saying before, we had things and variables up our sleeve to play with. So now we're 10 weeks out and we see our calories sitting at 3,350. You know, protein never changed. Fats dropped down to body weight, so we did 1 gram times body weight. And then the carbs were about still around at the 500 mark here. Now, from weeks 10 down the 6 weeks to 4 weeks out from show, we saw the caloric intake come down to the lowest level that we want to sort of take it before we start to enter a starvation method period. So for a male, the starvation period would be anything beyond 27 times their body weight, and for a female, you're looking at 22 times your body weight. Anything below that, so if your coach has you anywhere near that figure and you're all the way up here during your prep, you need to start backing out. You're too far gone in terms of your food. This starvation method should only be applied in the final coming weeks, if necessary. But however, as an athlete, I'm willing to do whatever it's going to take to get the condition to beat all my competitors on stage. I will starve those last 4 weeks if I have to starve, if that's what it's going to take. And Logan knew that. Hence why I've been here for 36 weeks with Logan, prepping for this show. Consistent, no cheat meals, not a single meal missed. Everything was complied to 100% T, and my partner can even confirm that. You know, living with me. She would eat her pizzas in front of me, ice cream, halo top, not even a budge. Not a single budge. So, you know, that takes a huge credit to someone who can do that. And you know, people think it's easy, but trust me, it's not easy, especially when you start to hit this figure. So guys, back to this, 27 times your body weight for males, 22 times your body weight for females. You want to look at that towards the last few weeks of your prep, if necessary. Right, now we started to add a bit more training in. So we still had about 5 to 6 days of training. We generally started about the 6 days, but you know, if the body was feeling taxed, rather than incorporating the deload, we just added another day rest. You know, we come to that point where the deload wasn't really necessary because we went from an MRV, so maximum recovery volume, to an MAV, maximum adaptive volume. And that's the period where you can fluctuate between a larger range of figures and still get the recovery that you need. Now, we did cardio, we creeped that up. So cardio has now gone up to every day, and we've done 30 minutes fasted and 30 minutes post-workout. As far as body fat, we can see probably another 20 mils are off by now. So we're sitting at 38 mil at 4 weeks out. 10 weeks out. In between that period. Now comes the crunch time. So we're now entering the last 6 weeks of this comp prep, 4 weeks out from the first show. You know, this is where, you know, it was basically like, as soon, this point on was the breeze. You know, and it's like, as soon as it's 4 weeks, everyone puts a huge pressure on it. You know, everyone in the gym was just putting pressure on it, and all of a sudden, my brain switched, and everyone, even the people that I was competing with, that was talking to, everyone was like, shit, like this week's just hit. It was like, you stepped over that 4 week mark, and it was like, boom, downhill you go from here. So, you know, the last 4 weeks, the last 2 weeks, it's been very hard, but yet again, our calories are very low. So, you know, we're now below our 27 times body weight into the final coming weeks. So we are 12 days out now. We're sitting at 1200, so 2,100 on a training day. And we're sitting at about 1,550 on a rest day. training. We're doing 6 days of training. We've got 1 day of rest. Now our cardio, we've picked up and manipulated it a little bit more. So we're optimizing more around our posing now. Our posing did start at 16 weeks out, so we've had 16 weeks of posing, but now it's, we're really focusing on the posing. When you're depleted, you're sore, you're tired, the last thing you feel like doing is engaging any sort of muscle. So, if we can, when we're tired and depleted and got no energy, and we can get that physique and all the muscles popping to where they need to be, come on stage, it's going to be effortless. And that's what you want to look like, is effortless on that stage. So, when you stand and you engage your quads, you just want it to be peeled, everything out. You don't want to be trying to flex it so hard. You want to move and just look consistent in your posing. So, and as well, we use posing as another form of output. You do 20 minutes of posing, there's another 100 calories. But depends on how well and how long you hold it, etc. So 6 days training, 1 day rest, 40 minutes now in fasted cardio every single day. On a treadmill, speed of 5, speed of 6, incline of 6, followed by 20 minutes of posing straight after. In the pose room, still fasted. So we do 3 rounds of all the compulsories, 3 rounds of all the mandatories. We come back now, so during this period we went to morning training. We did morning training because with me running my 3 companies, I applied myself better because I could get the training out of the way, I could still optimize my sleep, and I could still get in and get work done after a full 8-hour day, and I didn't have to worry about coming back at night and doing another session and all the rest of it. Get up, get it done, go home, recover. But as calories hit low, we're in a fasted state, trying to train in the morning, the effort went downhill massively. And in terms of an athlete standpoint, we've got to now look at that and go, all right, this isn't working, let's change it up. So we're incorporated, because we're not training in the morning, more time in the morning doing the cardio. Then in the afternoon, we do another weight session for an hour and a half, an hour. We do a 30-minute post-workout cardio session. Then we do a 20-minute posing session straight after that. So, we have now dropped the food to as low as it can go, possibly. Now, in the last 4 weeks of the show, it's about refining, correcting, and perfecting, right? All your drastic changes happen from this point backwards, and if you've got to starve yourself and you've got to do all this extra quick changes around this period, you're like, oh shit, I'm not going to make it. You've stuffed up on your journey. You didn't map it out correctly. You didn't have variables up your sleeve to play with. So now, last skin fold test just 2 weeks ago, we're sitting at about 34 meals over 9 sites. As far as percentage wise, I couldn't tell you because we didn't do it. I have to put up the calculator, but we're quite lean. We're very depleted. All the rest of it that comes in 12 days out. We just came off a day of refeed yesterday, and then we've got another 7 days of depletion before we start our peak week formulations from there. As far as peak week, we're probably going to look at doing 2 big carb ups of 700 grams of carbs at the start, deplete, and then another refeed to right before the show. But it all depends on the body and how we're looking and all the rest of it. But the best thing we can do now from this point onwards, being 12 days out, is just stay consistent. So make sure we're hitting all these sessions at 100%, and the result will be what it will be. And the fact that I've been 100% compliant, that's all we can do. So we'll get through to this Queensland show. So 12 days out, like I've said before. 11 days out now. We're on the final countdown, and then we've got probably another 2 weeks of just keeping consistent and letting the body maintain condition with a few little minor corrections as we go into the Arnold for 2020, just to tighten up a little bit further. But the best thing now is to, 1, focus on recovery. So we went from an MRV, so maximum recovery volume, which is a huge intensity, huge volume loadings for progression of growth and strength. Then we went into what we call an MAV period here. So maximum adaptive volume, which is a range where we can go from a figure of 22 sets down to about 16 sets per muscle group over a period of 2 to 3 sessions a week, and still recovery effectively. So we adjust that in terms of calorie intake. Now calories are at an all-time low. We're not chasing strength gains, we're not chasing muscle gains, we're not chasing anything. We're simply treating this as a means of caloric output via exercise. So we now are going to look at our MEV. So MEV is minimum effective volume period. So volume is at an all-time low. So we can recover effectively, reduce stress, and so forth. And that is how this last 36 weeks of our prep has looked. In the last few days, we'll watch the physique really change up. We've got a few more things up our sleeve to play with. But the best thing you can do in prep before you start is start way before the prep even starts. Create a lifestyle out of your structure. I see so many people that enter this sport that want quick, I just want to get up on stage because my friend's doing it. This is not fun and games. This is serious business. There's a lot that goes into it that you guys don't see. You need to create a lifestyle out of this, and you need to make it fit. You need to lay out a formal plan, game plan. It's like setting up a business plan. And I think this is something that I do really well, is I apply myself to business and I apply myself to prep. Very much the same. It's discipline, it's consistent, and we've got an end goal and a plan, and we've got to execute it to get there. And it is tough. But it's like, you want to go and own an own business, you want to open up your shop. You've got $20,000 in the bank, you're not just going to go, okay, here's $20,000, let's open a shop. You're going to be like, okay, well, what do we need to do? What insurance are we going to get? Where are we going to do? What dates are we going to hit? What lawyers? There's so much. Where are we going to pull our stock from? What staff? There's so much that you break down into building a business, into what we call a business marketing plan or proposal, in order to get the final product. The exact same thing applies in your prep journey. So we break it down, we visualize the end goal and how we're going to get there, what needs to be done, and once the plan is out, we execute it. Things will change, move that goalpost here and there a little bit to make it work, but as a scheme of things, that is how you want to look at it. So guys, that is my 36-week prep to this year's Arnold Classics in 2020. For any questions that you guys might have for me, or if you're looking at doing your own prep as well, and you need help, by all means, come visit us here at Purpose Fitness Australia. So you can visit www.purposefitnessaustralia.com.au. That is the official hub for everything supplementation, apparel, and health and nutrition consulting. But yet again, if you have questions, be sure to put them on the link below, and we'll get back to you guys all later on. But until then, have an amazing day. I'm 11 days out, I'm fasted, I need to go eat, and it's time for my coffee. So have an amazing day.